Well, hello there. This is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you first time in months. I, if you're not familiar with the Keys Bartender podcast and YouTube show, it's a show about bartending, Keys life, and life in general. And that since the last time I did the show, I've had a couple life-changing things. I hope my computer is not too loud right now. I actually have a light. I have better internet, which I'll talk about later. But my big life changing event, well, since I did the last video, I had my father passed away. That was in late January. And in early March, we had a memorial service, which I went out for. And that was March 3rd, 4th. And you guys, you see, when you have a parent pass away, it's quite a traumatic, life-changing event. You know, no matter how old you are. I'm almost 60 years old. So we had that, and I went up to Dover, Delaware with my family. We did that stuff. And then I came back, and I was having a problem sleeping. Also had a little chest congestion. I was a little tired. And during that week, at one of the places I work, I'm a fitness instructor, spin instructor, and we had one of our instructors that was leaving our place of work. So we were doing a group spin as a party, and all the instructors, the two instructors, us two additional instructors were there, besides the third that was leaving. And I'm not teaching the class, but I'm attending the class. And this is on Thursday. I had subsequently come back from Dover the week before. Sorry to drown it out, but I mean, drag it out. So here I am. I'm in spin class. I have a friend next to me, Tracy, and another friend on the left of me. And I don't quite remember because I'm going to tell you what happened. If you're a listener to the podcast, you'll know what happened. But about an hour into the class, we were up doing what we call a climb, and I call it position 3. The hands are out. I'm going to try to show you. The hands are out like this. I'm over the bike. My butt's up. I'm leaning over the handlebars, and I had just taken a drink of a big sip of my energy drink, and that was it was a caffeinated drink with vitamins and stuff like that. It wasn't a Red Bull or 5 Hour Energy or something like that, but it still wasn't good. And I had taken a couple cups of coffee before then because I was a bit tired. And I had, at the moment we were starting to do it at hour, it was 10:10 on Thursday, the first Thursday of March. And I rolled out of the bike, just rolled out. And on this particular bike, you're clipped in, your feet are clipped in on spin bikes, and it allows you to hold on to the pedals better when you're doing, I'm doing this with your pedals. You just got to think your feet are attached to it. But it's really hard to unclip from the bike, even when you're conscious. But when I rolled off the bike, I was unconscious, and my feet unclipped, which was very lucky for that. I rolled onto my side, hit the ground, unclipped on the ground without knocking over the 80-pound bike or anybody next to me. And the person immediately to my right, a friend of mine, Tracy, is a nurse. And she checked on me and found out my heart wasn't beating. I wasn't breathing. It was non-responsive. It turned out it was non-responsive for 7 minutes. And where it happened was at the hospital I work at. I work at a wellness center in the hospital that's right next to a cardiac rehab. I mean, when I say right next, I mean the door is literally 6 feet away from one of the group exercise rooms door. And one of the nurses came in, Gwen came in from there, and another one from occupational health came in, and she was 25, 30 feet away. So I had all these people working on me for 7 minutes in a building right next to the emergency room. Ended up, they had an EMT and they had an AED on, and they what they did, the defibrillator for about, they were doing compressions. And they put the panels on me and shocked me at 7 minutes, and I came back. And I was told that I'm very fortunate to have been there where I was. Not very fortunate to have this occur. And it was a atrial defibrillation or fibrillation. And it was more of a speeding up of a heartbeat. I'm not, I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to screw anything up. But my heart had stopped. And they got it restarted. I didn't really remember much until I was about 20 minutes in the emergency room. Then I started coming out of it. But supposedly I was responding after, when I came through in the exercise room. And I was responding to their questions and things like that, and telling people where my phone was and stuff and who to call. But I don't remember any of it. And they eventually airlifted me from the emergency room in Tavernier, Florida, and took me to Miami. And I remember the ride. And I remember the last 10 minutes before I left for the helicopter ride. They had to check they had to give me a scan to see if I had a concussion. And they ended up, and the interesting thing about it, even though they try to really impress upon me how serious it was, once I was awake and these things weren't going on, it didn't appear as if the way people's demeanors were. It wasn't as, it was, what was scary was what happened for those 7 minutes. And after that, it was kind of run of the mill. I know, run of the mill. It's interesting. You don't breathe for 7 minutes and it's run of the mill. Yeah, but that's what it appeared like. Even with the helicopter ride, there was no, they had me hooked up to check my blood pressure, my respiration, and my heartbeat, and I was fine. I ended up in a hospital. They hooked me up there, and that was on a Thursday. On Friday, they said, we're going to put a defibrillator in, and I'm going to show you that if I can. I'm going to see if I can. It's right, if I can get it up there. See. There it is. Well, it was hard to see. It healed up. This is less than 4 weeks. I mean, this is 26 days ago. And there's a lump. It looks like an Altoids container. Not to gross you out. I'm not trying to gross you out or anything like that, or not say woe is me. But they told me on a Thursday, after I was in the hospital, I was in there probably around 3 o'clock on Thursday or 4 o'clock on Thursday, that they were going to have an operate on me, and put the defibrillator in. And some of the interesting things about it, it was, like I said, it was run of the mill. They had me hooked up. I had to, for that first day, I had to pick. The worst part of it for me was peeing into a jug. I didn't really feel comfortable doing that. And the second thing was being hooked up to everything. Eventually, they were able to take the things off me, and I could clip on the monitors that they needed to follow. And they told me that the operation would be the next day at 3 o'clock, and then I would probably be going on Saturday. Well, as it turned out, they ended up moving my operation up. Yeah, it went ahead of time to 11 a.m. And they took me down. I had wonderful people caring for me the whole time. Really did. It was great. And I should thank all of them. But I mean, I either thank none of them or you thank all of them. And at one point, there was a nurse, a male nurse, in the operating room, and his name is Hildago, and his daughter, I found out, was a nurse, and she ended up caring for me the last day I was in. I was only in from Thursday to Saturday, about 48 hours. And when they were operating on me, I had told them, because I told them I was a recovering alcoholic and stuff like that. So they were starting the operation. I wasn't thinking right. And I said, listen, I'm still awake. And they said, oh, you're not going to go to sleep. We're just going to use a local and we're going to slide that in. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, you're not doing that because they said I was an alcoholic and you don't want to give me any medications. Like, oh, we gave you local. So they did it. And I'll tell you, it wasn't like, I was a little nervous about it. But once I realized I didn't really feel that much, it kind of puts things in perspective when you're not breathing for 7 minutes. So I did that. And for the last, I'm going to yada over some things, but they almost released me on Friday, which would have been 36 hours. That would have been great. So, but I didn't. They let me go on Saturday, and I think, I got home. There was a little traffic coming in. I got home around 4 p.m. It was about 50 some hours later. We were, I'm home doing the recovery thing, and it's been, it's kind of changed. I did a couple podcasts. I also, I'm going to talk about this. I mean, the recovery process here has been kind of drawn out because mainly it's waiting for the incision to heal and the device, the wires to heal inside that are attached to the heart that are there in case my heart goes into one of those deadly arrhythmias, they call them. And so it's supposed to shock me. And every so often I felt a start. I'm thinking it's shocking me. My heart's always, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm always going through arrhythmia. And they said, no, when you get a shock, you're going to feel it. It's going to feel like you were hit in the chest. It's not something. So I think it was almost like a psychosomatic thing where I'm getting start and I'm thinking, I'm reacting like it is a shock. I'm waiting for it. It's almost like having a dog collar for, the one of those electric dog collars. If you never tried one before, like you tried it to see how the, fenceless fence works. That's what I'm thinking it's going to be like. And you're just waiting for it. And, oh man, I don't want my heart. So they told me a bunch of things I had to watch out for. It was caffeine, alcohol, which I don't do alcohol anymore. There was no damage to the heart. There's no blockages. So I'm going to find out from my cardiologist in 2 days what I can and can't do. For about 4 weeks, they said I can't. I'm going to do it with the right arm. This is my right arm. I can't do this because my device is hooked up. They want me to, they don't want me to do this because they don't want the wires to pull out of the heart. So they have to go and do it. And and not pick up 10 pounds. But they, last week they said I can go to work. And they said, but you can't raise your left. I'm left-handed. This is my left. I'm not putting it above. But I couldn't go above this here. I can't go above this. And I can't lift 10 pounds. And I said, well, I would like to go into work and do stuff like that. But how am I not going to go and not lift 10 pounds? It's not, the bottles, most bottles are over, like even the big wine bottles aren't over more than 5 pounds. But there's things I have to raise on the top shelf, and sometimes it's a keg, and I'd have to stop and ask people to do things. And I don't want to have to go back in to get the wires reattached. First of all, I don't know if that would be nullified my health insurance or something like that if I did something counter indicative to instructions. So I didn't do it. So I've been doing that. I've been doing a podcast. I've been relaxing, not thinking about things I like to do. I like to go back to bartending. I may like to expand my horizon. But one of the things that gave me time to think about was this, about doing a podcast and doing a video. And the problem with it, I wasn't able to do the resolution of 1080 because of the speed. And I've been going back and forth with my internet provider. I'm not going to go and shame them and stuff. The customer service for my provider was excellent, but it's such a huge company that when the bill creeps up and stuff like that, I was finally saying, man, I'm just going to have to change. I'm tired of doing this every year, calling them up. This is what I do. It's a song and dance. I go back. My bill would creep up. I go and call up, ask for spend a couple hours on the phone, talk to customer retention. In the beginning, when I was actively drinking, I would be mad at them and yelling at them. And then because I never gave myself pause and realized that the company is not the people. People say people are the company. No, it's not true. A company is just a big conglomerate, and the company itself isn't evil. It just doesn't take consideration for individual people. It has a corporate policy, and it's not personal. And the thing is, when I talk to them now, I learn not to take things personally. So I just say, listen, what options do I have? I want to do this. I want to drop my bill. I want to do that. And then I'm talking to them. I said, this happens all the time. I may not get the speed I want because I needed a certain amount of speed. And I'm not talking to drugs. I'm talking to speed on the internet. And the one I had for the longest time, I said, oh, my speed for a year or so, I'm thinking the speed's so slow. It's 24 megabytes per second. And the upload doesn't get past 5. And I said, I can't do more than 760. And that's the resolution quality. And I'm thinking, well, I got to do 1080. So how am I going to do it? And it takes so long when I have to upload these videos to YouTube. I'm thinking, well, it's going to take me a half hour, 45 minutes. I got to figure it out. And from everyone I spoke to, it appeared as if there was no good solution. So what I did is I used my bad internet connection for weeks, and I researched options that I had. And I was looking for service, speed, minimum equipment, and perhaps a package deal with maybe wireless and that. So I found one. I didn't want to have to go back to wired. Which, I mean, obviously you need a little wire coming into your house and stuff like that, unless you go with one of those pure wireless systems and stuff like that. But I use a wireless router. But I'm getting into minutia I didn't mean to talk about. So I did it. And yesterday I'm thinking, oh man, I'm getting involved in technology the way I don't feel comfortable. I'm thinking, how am I going to switch from the internet service I have here without bringing in a tech? And I don't have a problem with a tech, but as I said before, working in the Keys, getting a hold of a technician it's like a unicorn. You rarely see them. And when you do see them, you see them going down the street and you think, man, I wish I had something I needed done. Because the next time I'm going to see it was going to be weeks and weeks. But I went and I changed my program. I said, how's this going to work out? When am I going to get this? Well, you can come today and pick it up. I said, what do you mean, come today? Yeah, you pick it up, and you take it home, and you install it. I said, how the fuck am I going to install internet? And I said, well, because in my head, I'm thinking, well, the dedicated internet is coming from my current provider. You don't have a dedicated line coming in. And they gave me instructions. They gave me a box. It's one. I'm using Xfinity right now, and they gave me some cables to connect and a coaxial cable. And they said attach it to one of your active coaxial connectors. Well, I didn't have an active one. I have one that was for the satellite dish, right? And there's an old one. It had dust on it and active. I said active. It may have been active 8 years ago. 8 years. I'm thinking, what am I going to do? But here I go. I go up to it, and it fits in this one. So I screw that in. Take the other cable, plug it into the Wi-Fi router, and it says wait 5 minutes or 3 minutes to recognize. And I'm like, oh man, it's not going to happen. 3 minutes, 5 minutes come around, nothing's happening. Right? I'm ready to unplug it. And I go and do it, and I'm thinking again. I go, so I plug it in again because I'm thinking nothing happened. And all of a sudden, get ready. We're setting up your router now. And I'm going, what? You mean it recognized it? You mean the thing I plugged in, you recognize, and there is a signal? And what it all boiled down to, I was such surprised that it worked. When they gave me the router modem, it was as if I had a time machine and I took, let's say, a microwave and gave it to somebody in the 1500s and then say, Here you go. You can cook food with this. Just don't put any metal in it. That was from a line in American Hustle. But it says, here, use it. And then when in American Hustle, they call this your science box. They call it a science box. It was back late 70s. No one knew what a microwave was. And how did it cook food, stuff like that. So I'm thinking the internet, and I said, well, why would this old coaxial hookup be active and be able to support internet that is 16 times faster on the upload and 16 times faster on the upload, or 15, or no, actually 20 times faster, and 8 times faster on the download. Or is it the other way? Down? Whatever the slow one is. Because it takes forever. Whenever I make one of these videos, it takes forever to run them through an algorithm to get the sound right, and also to do the oh Christ, what am I trying to say here? Upload them to YouTube. It would just take 35, 40 minutes. I have to walk through, see if it does, and if it cancels, it cancels. And I said, well, and I couldn't get the resolution and stuff like that. And for right now, it looks like it's working fine. And I was surprised by that. I was really surprised by that. And let me get back to the recovery. Friday, I go to see the doctor. I'm going to be doing this. So obviously I should have started doing this earlier, but I got the modem hooked up yesterday. So I'll still be able to do this. I'll be taking it maybe a little easier, not too much. Maybe I won't work one double. So I'll have to watch that. I don't know what else I have to say. I'll give you a progression. I showed you my scar. I don't know how I look, because first when the first week and a half of my recovery, I had people coming up to me and go, Jim, you're losing weight. You're losing weight. You're losing weight. You're losing weight. And I'm thinking, the doctor said to me, one of my regular general practice doctor, he said to me, is there any muscle wasting? And I go, muscle? No, I'm not doing anything. And wasting means degenerating or falling off. And so they were all saying I was losing weight. And then I get on the scales and I go, well, I'm actually 4 or 5 pounds heavier. And if there was muscle wasting, what is being replaced by? Fat. So, and fat isn't as dense as muscle. So what are these people seeing? I have no idea. So, I'm really, even though it appears as if the things I do, I like working out, I'm actually egotistical and I like looking good. And that's the thing I want to do. Actually, I want to feel good too. I know I feel good when I'm working out. So I'm going to be looking forward to doing that. I'm going to have to go back and go pretty easy, but I want to see how that works when I do it. I'd like to thank you for listening, and I will do another Keys Bartender show. I want to try to do, with the new connection, I'll probably be able to do something different, and we'll see how that works out. I'd like to thank you for listening today, and I will be back. Bye.